Tucked away in the northern Berkshires, North Adams is a city framed by forested hills and defined by reinvention. Once a thriving hub of 19th century industry, it has since transformed into a haven for artists, students, and travelers looking to experience New England's wilder, weirder side. But beneath its revitalized surface lies a legacy not so easily polished, a tale of death, darkness, and something unseen that still stirs deep within the mountain. I'm your host, Dan David. Welcome to City of Nightmares. North Adams, Massachusetts began as part of the town of Adams, originally settled in the mid-1700s. It remained a largely agrarian community until the early 1800s, when the construction of mills along the Hoosac River transformed the northern part of the town into a manufacturing powerhouse. By the mid-19th century, the area was producing textiles, shoes, and eventually explosives for the Civil War. But it wasn't just industry that shaped the town. Geography played a crucial role. Surrounded by mountains and nestled along a river, North Adams was isolated, rugged, and uniquely positioned for one of the most ambitious engineering projects of its time, the Hoosac Tunnel. When it officially separated from Adams in 1878, North Adams had already become known for its grit. Over the decades, the decline of manufacturing gave way to art and academia. The Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, housed in a former factory complex, opened in 1999 and gave the city a new identity. Today, visitors come for the museums and galleries, the mountain air, and the historic downtown. But for all its cultural charm and creative energy, North Adams has never shaken one of its most famous hauntings, the infamous Hoosac Tunnel, a place where countless men died, and according to many, some never left. Spanning nearly 5 miles through the Hoosac Range, the Hoosac Tunnel connects North Adams to the neighboring town of Florida, Massachusetts. When construction began in 1851, it was hailed as a marvel of engineering ambition. When it finally opened in 1875, it was known by a much darker name, the Bloody Pit. Over the course of its 24-year construction, the Hoosac Tunnel claimed the lives of an estimated 195 men, though some accounts suggest the number is higher. The dangers were many: collapsing rock, premature dynamite explosions, and the use of nitroglycerin, which was new, unstable, and deadly. One of the most infamous accidents occurred on October 17, 1867. A lantern ignited fumes in the central shaft, detonating explosives and killing 13 men. The explosion caused a partial collapse and flooded the shaft. It took over a year to recover all the bodies. According to local lore, other workers reported hearing muffled moans and ghostly whispers from deep within the shaft in the months after the explosion, even while it remained sealed. These sounds stopped only once the bodies were finally retrieved and given a proper burial. In 1870, 3 workers mysteriously disappeared while inside the tunnel. Their co-workers assumed they had abandoned the job until their decomposed bodies were found months later in a hidden shaft. The men showed no signs of injury. Some suggested they had been trapped and died of exposure. Others believed they had been killed by something or someone. In his 1906 book, Ghosts of the Hoosac, Local historian Charles Skinner recounted stories of strange lights drifting through the tunnel and figures walking the tracks only to vanish into the stone walls. Skinner wrote, "There are men in these hills who believe no one ever truly leaves the Hoosac. They say the mountain keeps what it takes." Railway workers, even decades after the tunnel opened, reported unsettling experiences. In 1875, just months after the tunnel became operational, engineer E.P. Adams claimed to have seen a shadowy figure on the tracks ahead. He braked hard, thinking it was a trespasser, only to find nothing. When the train inspector boarded later, he remarked to Adams, "You saw it too, didn't you?" Perhaps the most repeated claim involves the sound of phantom footsteps echoing behind maintenance crews, growing louder until the workers turn around to find no one there. Some workers refuse to enter the tunnel alone, citing an overwhelming sense of dread that would sometimes push men to the edge of panic. In more recent decades, paranormal investigators have entered the tunnel with EMF detectors, digital recorders, and infrared cameras. Though the tunnel remains active for freight trains, careful permissions have allowed for limited exploration. One investigator in the early 2000s recorded what he claimed was a low whisper saying, "Don't leave me." Others have reported cold blasts of air with no natural explanation, and even sensations of being shoved or touched. A former railroad worker interviewed in 1984 for a local oral history project stated, "I worked the tunnel for 5 years, and I always felt like someone was watching me. Always. I'd turn my light and there'd be no one, but the feeling never went away." Despite these tales, or perhaps because of them, the Hoosac Tunnel has become a point of fascination. Hikers and ghost hunters venture near the ends of the tunnel, hoping to capture a glimpse of something supernatural. But authorities warn against entering. Aside from the paranormal risk, it's still an active railway tunnel, and trespassing is dangerous. Yet the stories persist. An online forum for train enthusiasts once shared a thread where a user recounted hiking near the western portal and hearing a man calling out from inside the tunnel. When he shouted back, the voice stopped. A few minutes later, he heard a single word echo out, "Why?" Another user replied, claiming they had once camped near the eastern side and were awakened by what sounded like pickaxes striking stone, even though no work had been done there in decades. Whether these stories stem from imagination, trauma, or something truly unexplainable, the Hoosac Tunnel has undeniably earned its place in American folklore. It remains one of the most haunted sites in New England, not just because of what happened there, but because of what continues to be felt, heard, and seen in the dark. In a place built by progress but soaked in tragedy, it seems the ghosts of the past still travel the same path. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode of City of Nightmares. Be sure to follow the show for more. New episodes premiere every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next time we'll head to a remote gold rush town that hides a chilling legend, a boarding house, a con woman, and a trail of poisoned men. South Pass City, Wyoming. Until then, this is your host, Dan David, reminding you all to stay safe out there. I'll be seeing you in the next episode.
Nope.